Is Bitcoin actually worthless? Have we all just been kidding ourselves here? Is the price actually going to go down rather than up to 100,000, 200,000 or more? Well, that's what 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃 said when he was asked about Bitcoin. He's a Federal Reserve official, and he said that Bitcoin remains worthless after 12 years. And this is an interesting thing to say when you see how much Bitcoin has gone up in comparison to the dollar. When you look at it, though, Bitcoin is worth what people, or any asset for that matter, is just worth what people are willing to pay for it. And so there's people that are buying Bitcoin right now for 67,000, and that's what they're valuing it at. And so you can't really say that something's worthless when it's trading in large volumes. So that's one thing to look at. And another thing to consider is the source of when people say things like this. And this guy is in the Federal Reserve, and the Fed has an agenda where they want to have a strong dollar, keep up that illusion that the dollar is strong and that the labor market is strong, inflation is declining, which has been true for the last little bit. But when you look back at the whole history, and when we got off the gold standard in 1971, the value of the dollar has declined by about 90%. But really, it all started when the Fed was started in 1913, because they started printing money whenever they wanted to and being irresponsible and corrupt, which even the Fed being set up was not a legal thing. So it was set up illegally.
I will take a look at your evidence, and I will take a second look at the financials. And when I come back and bust your ass, we're locking David Ershon in the Federal Reserve. You still don't understand the concept.
And ever since then, we've had this inflation problem because of the way that they just print money and spend irresponsibly. So this is where it stems from. And so consider the source. Usually when you see stuff like this, it's people that have an agenda, or they just don't understand the blockchain or Bitcoin, and they probably can't even tell you what Bitcoin is or how it works. They just heard something like Bitcoin is a scam, and then they just kind of perpetuate that without even looking into it. So another example here is this 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃, who said that October will be bearish. First day BTC drops. Second day under 60K with all else down 20-30%. Is this bullish? No. 100% sure the top of the year is in. Markets are never bullish after the Fed cuts. Remember this. Oh, really? Because when the Fed cut rates in March of 2020, they had an emergency meeting for COVID, and they cut it 50 basis points, and then they cut it a couple weeks later, 100 basis points. What happened to Bitcoin after that and other markets? We went from about 5,000 clear up to, 8 months later, $50,000 Bitcoin. So again, you got to check people like this. And anytime somebody says they're 100% sure, you know that they're probably not telling you the truth. Because even though I'm bullish on Bitcoin, like, I could admit that there's probably a small chance that Bitcoin's at the top, but it's way more likely that it's going up. And so you can see this guy's already being proven wrong because we went up to $67,000. We had like since he sent that tweet, we're up like 8%. So the truth here is that the future of Bitcoin is brighter than ever. When you look at things like Standard Chartered here too, who say that Bitcoin will go up to 74,000 in the next few weeks. That's their estimate. And that's 12% upside leading up to the election. And again, we've already seen this with Bitcoin going up 8% in the last week. And I mentioned in a previous video that Q4 is always the biggest gains that you'll get from Bitcoin and crypto. And we're just starting to see that now at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And then they also, Standard Chartered, say that they predict a price of 150,000 by the end of 2024. And then by the end of 2025, their prediction is 250,000. And that's kind of what I'm thinking as far as the range of the top is kind of right there between 150, 250. You see a lot of extremes, people saying it'll only get 200,000, and then some people saying it'll go to 500,000. They're super bullish, but for me, I think the best thing to do is just look at the average of those extremes. and kind of estimate from there. So you're not getting too carried away either way, but I think, 300 or 400,000 could happen if Trump gets in, and that's a lot more bullish for crypto. But even if Kamala gets in, this Standard Chartered thinks that Bitcoin will still hit 200,000, which I agree with. Like, no matter who's the president during Bitcoin, it's always just done what it's done and gone up in price. And so I don't think that trend will stop really. And then if we look at some technical analysis here, we can see that Bitcoin has formed this cup and handle pattern. And this pattern, which about 70% of the time it breaks to the upside. And when it's a multi-year structure like this, as you see here, it's going back to 2021 when the start of this cup formed. And so it's a multi-year pattern. And this makes it even more likely that it'll break up when it's a longer period in this cup and handle formation. So you can see the cup there and the handle where it's basically a falling wedge, which is another bullish pattern. And then typically it breaks up from there. And so the target for this breakout would be around 120,000 in the next few months. So this chart's looking really strong, and there's a lot of bullish catalysts for Bitcoin. And of course, when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins tend to go up even more. A lot of the altcoins are going to go up even more. And so you can see the other videos on my channel and see some of the other coins that I'm investing in. I also recently did a portfolio of 5 coins, and I did 2 separate portfolios, 5 coins, and I put $1,000 into each one. And those are still good buys right now. One of my portfolios is down about 13%, and the other one is up 1%. So it's still a good time to get into those. So if you want to see which coins I have in that portfolio, you can watch that video right here.